Hey everybody, welcome back to Champ and Sons and our college football 25 Dynasty series here, following Coach Bubba Champion on his way looking for coaching glory. We saw him in the very first series we ever did with face of the franchise back, 4 years ago, where he lost in the college football playoff. This time, as a coach, though, he was able to finish off, that storyline. And I know he did it with North Texas, but to come back and do it again the following year is something that you don't really see happen. Two straight back-to-back titles with two different teams. And the story doesn't end here, right? There's more to Coach Champion's legacy than just these two seasons. We're 5 years into it. We finally got our second national championship, our first year here with Penn State. And what else do we have coming for us? And we're going to take a look at that in this episode. So welcome back to the channel for everybody that is returning, and welcome if you are new here to the Champ and Sons content. Now we're going to jump straight into stuff. We're going to take a look at his career with Penn State and kind of where it stands at this point. The next season, we scheduled tougher teams at the beginning, primarily because I like to test our team out. Where are we? Where do we stand? Coming off a national championship, you need to kind of really see what kind of team you have ahead of you. And things were looking kind of bleak for us. Needless to say, in season number 2 in Happy Valley, as we started out on the road in a home-and-home series with Notre Dame, and my goodness, did they put a whooping on us. But, as we know, seasons are long. And we did have to learn a lot from new players that were on our team. No longer did we have Ramon. We have Jared Sterling. No longer did we have Amerson. It's Newsel and stuff that we've got to rely on. So, a lot of different things kept happening throughout this season, and we ran into a couple roadblocks. First one being Notre Dame, and then also here we are on the road against Wisconsin. And how you you're sitting there having tackles be broken at left and right. Things are going to happen. And we kept finding ourselves in moments where we were getting up in games, but then we'd let things like this happen, and you'd see just those plays that would get made early on. You'd see things happen where all of a sudden now they're making the plays that they wouldn't have made before. And we kind of let our guard down. We have a lot of, I guess you could say veteran players at this point, tenured players on both the offense and the defensive side. But in season number 2, we kind of seemed to let our attitude at times get the best of us. We started out 0-1. We were the number 1 team in the country, 0-1. So we dropped to number 9. Win 4 games in a row, go up to number 4. And what do we do at that point? Go on the road to Wisconsin and lose. A team that has, for lack of a better phrase, just been a bane of our existence, a thorn in our side, and they continue that through here season number 2, as they do put a beating on us 52-38. So we take a second loss in the season. Well, we were 4-1, now we're 4-2. We dropped out of the top 5, and we did maintain a top 10 position, and thankfully so, because once you get back to your winning ways, things kind of balance out a little bit. But one thing I guess I can always say I appreciate with having the losses, facing those difficulties, and trying to overcome those, is what it does for the team. And what it did for our team is it gave us a little bit of grit to us. It gave us a little bit of that, fire, that toughness that we looked at, forged out of fire, And so coming into bigger games later in the season, like rivalry games against Minnesota, we're able to, put a pretty handy beat down on them and really kind of shut things down for them. So I think as much as a loss sucks during the year, it really does. It can do one of two things. It can weaken your team, or it can strengthen your team. And we've let it kind of sharpen us. We've let it strengthen us. We've become a little bit, I like to think of, a harder piece of steel because of those fires we went through. And now getting back into the rhythm of things, having been tested, having been beaten, having to bounce back from those defeats has really helped us. And we find ourselves here at the end of the season against Michigan State of season number 2 here at Penn State, taking a big lead over the Spartans in the snowy weather on the road. You know, we're fighting for an opportunity to still play in the Big Ten championship game. That's not out of the realm of possibility. Wisconsin is the one Big Ten team to beat us. This is the last game of the regular season. It's one of those you win, you're in type of situations. And Hochstein, being our quarterback sophomore, finding guys like the tight end. He was a senior at the time. Using the veteran leadership of the team on the offense, and then also on the defensive side with we still had Kiernan in there. We had Fournette on the defensive line. We got Alex Lewis still playing for us in the linebacker field. So we've got a lot of leadership on this team that, as much as these losses suck, they really helped us become the team that we did throughout the season and have that kind of resilience in us to put together some big wins, to get back on the winning streak, and to really actually even earn a shot at the Big Ten championship game at the end of that regular season. Part of that game is we're going to have to face off against Oregon. Oregon, definitely no pushover, one of the top teams in the country, right? And it's one of these games that as you're coaching the game and you're playing it, it starts to have that back and forth feeling. You start thinking, oh crap, this is where one play can be the difference. So it's going to be who makes that play. Do we allow Oregon to make that play, or do we step up and be that team to make it? And in a conference title game, an opportunity to get one of the top 4 playoff spots, and with where we're ranked at number 3, Oregon's number 4, to get that top 4 playoff spot really would just set us up perfectly to try to make a run for the national title and defend our national title. So that's the tough part. But this game kept going back and forth. And I mean, it started early here in the second quarter. You know, we couldn't manage touchdowns early on. We had to take a couple field goals. So, of course, Oregon responds with a touchdown. Then you start going, well, is that the play? Is that what the difference is going to be? The fact we had to kick field goals the first couple times, and then in a matter of a single play, Oregon punches it in and takes the lead. You know, you got to ask yourself, when is that play going to happen? Which one was it really that caused it? And I think there's more than just one play in a game. It's going to be ebbs and flows, back and forth. It's going to be from start to finish, up and downs throughout the game that take place. Even this with Cade Potts, I mean, you're talking a young kid there, taking an interception. He had about 104 yards. He got 102 of the 104 yards he needed to get there, but then he got stopped at the 2-yard line. You know, one of our senior defensive backs who's really stepped up this season here in season number 2 and played exceptionally well. Now, following that interception, you see it took us all the way to a 4th and 1 to try and really push this thing in. And you can see Hochstein use his feet finally. He's come accustomed to it. He's grown pretty well with being able to run the ball. It's still something that we kind of worry with. He does have some fumble tendencies. But at the same time, he's got enough escapability and enough speed to pick up, you know, bursting yardage when needs. He's not going to bust an 85-yard touchdown. No one's going to expect him to do that. But you need him to get 2 yards, 3 yards on a touchdown run. Boom, he'll get you 2 or 3 yards. You need him to get 50, he'll get you 2 or 3. And we just see this game go back and forth, and really it goes back and forth that way till overtime. And Oregon took the ball first, punches it in the opening overtime. We wanted defense, we took it, and they just took it home on that drive and scored. And then our attempt on a 4th and 4, Hochstein, our sophomore quarterback, rolling out to the right. He had to throw it, nowhere to go. It was a 4th down. He wasn't going to make a first down scrambling. So he does throw an interception. Things like that are going to happen. But I'm proud of the way they played. You know, they lost, which is a big disappointment, and you lose a lot of the momentum of a season going into the playoffs like that. So that's not the situation you truly want to be in. But it's a situation you go, all right, it is what it is. We had our opportunities, and like I said, we took field goals at the beginning of the game. So, yeah, those probably were a couple of the biggest things that impacted this one. And in reality, if you take, you change over one field goal to a touchdown, we don't go to overtime, plain and simple. But that's not the way it works. So, we had to go into the playoffs. We went through quite a run in the playoffs. Nothing really too sticky, right? Nothing really challenged us that much. I mean, I think we truly handled business in every single game. And part of that was because of the tests that we had to face during the season, whether it be Notre Dame, Wisconsin, or even the Big Ten championship game that we lost to Oregon. Now, we didn't know we'd see them again in the Natty. It's a rematch of a game that went to overtime, so it's set up to be a pretty good one. But I like our team's odds better in this game than I did in the Big Ten championship. And that's mainly just because, like I said, we have been truly tested throughout this season. Those losses they hurt, but man, did they make us stronger. And you can see coming into this one, even late in the second quarter, just a 10-3 game. Yeah, Oregon's going to put the ball into the end zone. They are a good football team. That is going to happen. So it's not one of those of, well, can you prevent it? It's when it does happen. It's going to be how do we respond, right? How do we bounce back from that one, especially in a national championship game? You take what happened with us last season against Georgia. That was a back-and-forth national championship game. I mean, the final 2 minutes of the first half were just insane in that one. Here we have a 10-10 ball game, 1 minute left to go in the second quarter. And Oregon blitzes, and that's one of those things, you got to get it to your speedy guys. Abel is someone who can always get a good first step. He just knew how to get out in the open space. His acceleration, his ability to basically get moving off the ball was outstanding this season in the second year here. And we really took advantage of it. I mean, I know it sounds bad to say, well, we're taking advantage of our player. No, we are. Let's be honest. But that's what you got to do to win at times. Take advantage of their strengths and kind of cover up some of their weaknesses. And I think we did a really good job this season. So taking a look at what I was talking about with bouncing back, Oregon comes down, scores a touchdown, 2 minutes to go in the first half. Here we are, a minute and a half left in scoring position, looking to push back on them. Don't accept what they did and just roll over and take it into halftime. No, we need to go put up points of our own. We try to drop in a pass there, it goes off their hands. Things like that are going to happen. You can't stress too much about it. So just get ready for the next play when the time comes. So on a 3rd and 4 after that, Newsel, our young sophomore running back, took over from Armisen. He had a great first half. He had 79 yards on 11 carries up to this point. Faced a 1st and goal from the 4-yard line. And pushing forward and always fighting is something that we've always wanted to be, the kind of team we wanted to be. And here we are responding, continuing to hammer the ball home and then take advantage with the play action, hit our tight end coming across. Now we've got a 7-point lead at halftime. And that's something that even a couple games ago in the Big Ten championship wouldn't have happened, if we were in the same situation. But now we are. We weren't suffering those losses. Like I said, this tended to strengthen us some. And bounce back and continue to fight. That's what I love about this team that we had kind of built up. There was always a fight in them. The game was never truly over for us, even whenever we were getting blown out by Notre Dame and even Wisconsin. When you're throwing everything to the wall, sometimes stuff's going to get intercepted and returned back. That happens. But you never stop fighting, and we did not stop fighting in this game. Even here in the fourth quarter, they take the lead on us with a run up the middle, a physical run up the middle, physical drive for the Ducks. And we have to come right back at them. So that's what we do. Let's go lean on our senior leadership. There's our tight end, Curry. He's one of our veteran guys. Get him the ball. Have Hochstein start spreading the ball around. Let's start mixing up the run. Let's take a look at option keepers. And all of a sudden, there you go. Option keeper Hochstein takes that one in. And he's going to give us the lead back. We mentioned that before, his ability to run for 4 yards. There it was. He got it. He nailed that ability to run for 4 yards, nailed it to a T, and once again we have the lead. And that's where, when you start doing that and you start taking the lead from teams, now we're putting a test to them. Are they going to be able to bounce back? Are they going to be that team to hammer at home? Or are we going to be the team here with under 2 minutes to go and a 3rd and 3 to get that first down, to put this game away, as Newsel hammered it home? And Oregon is not that team. We are that team. We run that ball right up the middle. And that's something I don't think would have happened last year. Even with winning the Natty last season and even earlier in this season, it just feels like who we are right now at the end of season number 2 is completely different than who we were at the beginning of season number 2 here in Happy Valley. Right? So we're talking national championship back-to-back. Okay? Back-to-back natties. 2 seasons in, 2 national championships here in Happy Valley. We're turning this program into something amazing. And our job as Coach Champion is to not stop here. He wants to build a legacy. Right? A couple championships is great, but it doesn't build you your legacy. And what I mean by that, take a look as a Texas fan. Mac Brown played in 2 national championships. Lost one, won one, but lost one too, played in 2. Now that Sark's there, no one talks about a legacy of Brown. No one talks about that legacy anymore. It's all about Sark. And you take a look at teams like Alabama. I know DeBoer didn't have the greatest season in the world, 3 losses, but people still talk about the legacy of Saban having been there. And that's something that Alabama won't get away with for a long time. It wasn't until Saban became who he was at Alabama that they could get away from the legacy of Bear Bryant. So, think about it that way. That's where we want to be. And is it with Penn State? I don't know. We're going to continue to build and see what we can do. But who knows what the future holds in all reality, right? So season number 3, right? Back-to-back national champions. Season number 3, here we come. Starting out against Notre Dame. Part of the home and home series with them. They kicked the crap out of us in South Bend last season, and now they're kicking the crap out of us in Happy Valley this season. We're coming back, though. Like I said, we're a growing team of people that have a certain edge to them, certain toughness. Ruffin, a linebacker, he has been with us since we got there as a freshman. And number 41, you see him celebrating in the end zone. Alex Lewis, he's another guy that's been with us from the very beginning. These are guys who you can build a culture around. These are guys who just scooped and scored against the number 5 team in the country to take the lead here in the 4th quarter. And guess who made the initial hit right there? You notice big number 66, Mr. Fournette, another man who's been with us since the beginning. That's what you do. You build a culture. And these games, playing here at Penn State, we have looked to build that culture. Hochstein is going to be, our quarterback. He's been since he was a freshman. He's our leader. And look at that. Last season, you needed 4, he'd get you 4. You needed 40, he'd get you 4. This season in the offseason, he picked up his training a little bit, got a little bit extra wheels underneath him. And he took off, and you're talking about sealing the deal on a big-time game in prime time on a Saturday night to open the season up here at home in front of our fans, not letting them down, and basically starting to exercise the demons of last season. First game, Notre Dame. Let's get them out the way. All right, so we end up pulling that off. That touchdown really was kind of one of the separating factors there. But we get the Notre Dame revenge game. Boom. X marks the spot. Box is checked. Done. Dealt with. Now we have to move on. We've got other issues from last year. Right? We got other things to overcome. I know we won the Natty. That's not what we're talking. We're talking about we got to take some things personally coming into this season. The first thing we took personally, the Notre Dame game. it was a tough fight, but man, we came out and handled business. 52-47, but handled business nonetheless, as it was. Next, during this game, I know Ohio State hasn't beaten us yet. We've done our good job to manage them, but one thing about this team is I'm starting to see a grit develop with them. You know, that and people that have played sports, you know what I'm talking about, that grit. Whenever you're down, you're definitely not out. It's that whole, you've been knocked out on the mat, but the ref's giving you 10 seconds. You pull that Tyson Fury move, and you hop up and you go, all right, I'm awake. Time to end this battle. And so that's what we're starting to see in our team here. And even in the fourth quarter, down in the fourth quarter, we hit one of our freshman receivers, and he's even taken a part in that, and he takes that one in. Fights through multiple Buckeye defenders, takes that one into the end zone to give us the lead here in the fourth quarter. And so now it comes our defense's time. Karlaftis, he's been with us. He hasn't been a star player for us, but he has been an effective second string. He's getting his chance this year, and my goodness, does he step up when we need him to. You know, he wasn't put down. He wasn't discouraged because he wasn't the starter the last season. He wasn't the starter the season before that. But he knew his time was going to come if he worked his tail off, and he did. And he showed up in one of the biggest games, one of the biggest moments when we needed him. Now here we are back on offense. Hand it off to Newsel. Look at him just running over the defender, taking him into the end zone with him. There it is. That's that grit you got to have about you, to come from behind in the fourth quarter, to take on a rival like we were doing on the road, and to put a whipping on them on the road. That's the key. That's what, really can make or break a great team, is being able to do that. And so that's, kind of where we stood after that game, putting a hammer down on them. And I think it set us up for what was next to come in this season. The next hurdle we had to get over. And if you're guessing it was Wisconsin, well, you would be correct in thinking that. And let it be said, it would not be easy. At a game, played a big rivalry game before that on the road at the Horseshoe. It's not something that you can take lightly. Being down in the fourth quarter, it's something that wears you out. But it's what we have in front of us. All right? I don't know, the Buckeye doing the YMCA or something look kind of goofy if you ask me. Just saying. I hate Ohio State, by the way, and Michigan. Fair hatred across the Big Ten. And so let's go ahead and jump into our next game that I would definitely say is a revenge game. We're not the same team that we were in years past, where, I understand Wisconsin is a good team. They're top 20. We're number 2 in the country, 5-0. They are top 20. And right now, here in the second quarter, we're leading 10-0. But what I like about our team is that there is a speed to the team. There is a fight to our team. And even our kicker, who we have mightily struggled our whole time coaching and playing this damn game to get that down, even our kicker steps up and boots one through in the end of the first half to extend our lead out to make it 13-0. So, like I said, we're proven to be a different team right now. That's not to say we don't have some of the same mistakes from the past happen, because those mistakes happen because it's a part of who we are, and they do occur. And as you can see, even on a blitz, they get away from us right there, just like that, pushing all the way through, letting the big plays go. Every team gives up big plays every now and then. We haven't done it very often this year. Last season it was a slight issue. This season not so much. Coming into this game, but like I've always said, what matters is how you bounce back from these things. And bouncing back by throwing an interception is not what you really want to do. I do like that Hochstein decided to get involved on the tackle, but still not the best way to go about it. So what do you do with your team whenever you're running into these situations, right? What does Coach Bubba do when he's running into problems where, okay, not only did we just give up the lead on a big play, but we gave up a second consecutive big play by throwing an interception. One, don't make the touchdown easy. If they're going to score on you, make it tough as shit to score on you. And that's really what we did in this one as much as we could. They threw a simple crossing pattern, and a stage like that of the field is damn near impossible to stop. But what you don't do is you don't roll over. Last season in Wisconsin, in Madison, we rolled over. This season, not so much. Not today, big fella. Not today. As we get down to the goal line, there's no need to get sketchy with it. Just roll out. Give your guys some space. Try to give it. Don't make a stupid play. Don't be dumb. That's one of the biggest things. Don't be dumb. That's the best way I can think to avoid major plays. Continue to play your game also. We're down in the fourth quarter. This is the way we play our offense. We cannot let their defense dictate how our offense runs, right? So we have to make some plays and leave it to our quarterback. Use his feet. Let him make those plays. Don't get away from who we are. Don't be dumb. Don't get away from who we are. This is a coaching manual. If you are interested, I suggest you write this chitsky down. And here we come. Even after that touchdown, 2-point conversion, quick throw, get it to your senior tight end, let him punch that thing in, and you're talking tie ball game. And, it's one of those, bad things are going to happen. Think of it this way. There was a professional golfer, I think Jim Furyk or someone like that, once said this. He said he knew going into every round of golf he played, he was going to hit at least 7 bad shots. He knew that. Going into it, that guy's one of the best. But if you know going into a game, some chitsky's gonna happen. And when it does, you can kind of relax, stay in tune, one play at a time. Chase down quarterbacks one snap at a time. Alex Lewis and Hack got back. Austin Hack got back there. Hack is just a sophomore. He's going to be a beast in a couple seasons. Alex Lewis, he's coming along as an outside rusher. Love seeing what these guys are able to do. Now, on a big stop, defense holds up. Now what do you do when you get the ball? You have to kind of find ways to push it in and to get those scores. You can't just sit and let another team continue to take shots at you. You have to give back a shot every now and then. And that's what we're trying to do here. That's the kind of team that we've become, is one who not just going to let you throw the haymakers. We're going to start throwing some of our own, all right? That's how we're just going to roll. As we hit our receiver, who, boom, takes it in. Grant Cross comes up with a great play on the outside. It's his first season being an outside receiver, being kind of in the primary target area. And my goodness, he has stepped up big time this year. He's become one of the primary targets. Speed isn't the greatest, but it's enough. You know what I mean? It's enough to make some plays. He's just a sophomore. So seeing what he can do at this age, in this early stage, is impressive. To see how he can step up and kind of be that offensive weapon that we need him to be. And as I've said, on the defensive side, here comes some veteran guys. Alex Lewis was right back there in his face, coming off that edge blitz. And look at their quarterback. He is slow to get up. He is struggling. He says, this is not the same dang team from last season. Why not? Because we've grown. We've gotten better. Okay? Lewis, coming off that edge, is just a pure speed rusher. Something that really solidified, I think, our defensive line that we were needing on the outside edges. We hadn't had since McClough in the first season. So we come up with a big-time game. And we end up getting the win 28-21. It wasn't a blow-away win. It wasn't a powerhouse win, but it was a solid performing win. And once again, exercise the demons, ladies and gentlemen. Exercise the demons. As we say, revenge game, take back the loss from last season. They've kicked the crap out of us just about every year. So why not return the favor to them and come back on them in the fourth quarter, put up 2 scores, shut them down, and beat them up. Now, part of this season that's been so magical in year number 3 is we've been trailing. We've come close to losing at times, but we haven't lost yet. I've never had an undefeated season yet, and I'm trying to start now. It hasn't happened. We've always managed to lose at least one every damn season. And so in season number 3, it's one of those, we just try to keep it alive, keep it going. Now we're going to face off against Maryland in the Big Ten championship game. Coming into Penn State, been here 2 years, won back-to-back national championships. We have never won a Big Ten title. Never been in this game. We've always generally, or never won this game until last season we were in it for the first time, but never won this game. And generally takes the harder path in the playoffs to get to the national championship. So we definitely need to look to turn that around. And a guy like Hochstein, his junior year, knowing what it takes to get to the national championship, wanting to do it for a third year in a row, just not wanting to play that extra playoff game. Hochstein takes that in, and I mean, you can see the growth of him from last season to this season. Last season you needed 4, he gets you 4. This season, man, you need 35, he'll get you 35. He couldn't do that last year. This year he is definitely able to. He's becoming a completely different player than what we've seen in the past. And coming into this game, it was not going to be an easy one. No one figured it would be. I mean, say what we want to say about Maryland being 7-5 and earning it because they won their division, but it was never going to be a walk in the park. And so even coming down to the end of the first half, having to take the lead on a touchdown in the final seconds of the first half, giving us a 24-21 lead, that we knew would always be a possibility. We stopped trying to take teams for granted the first time that, we started getting beat here at Penn State. So that's never been too much of a problem for us. One thing we just always want to make sure of is that we don't relinquish that lead once we get it. Sometimes it's hard, but in a moment where you get it at the halftime and then you come out with possession of it to start the second half, strike them fast, and that's exactly what we did in this Big Ten championship game. We went for our fastest player, Jared Sterling, fired a deep pass to him. We knew they were going to be coming up looking to stop the run. We've done a pretty good job of that. And so we knew they were going to be coming up trying to stop the run. So why not take advantage? Let's go one-on-one to the outside. Let's fire that one down deep. So we did. We isolated Sterling on that side, and boom, he got that step, and Hochstein delivered it, which gave us that extension of our lead. Now, Maryland would try to come back, and like I said, it's a Big Ten championship game. They're there for a reason, but our defense all season long has stepped up. When times have gotten, they've let big plays go. I mean, that happens. It's football. But they have stepped up majorly in this one. Steve Fournette, our senior, we've seen him play with us each of these last few seasons, and he has become a beast off the edge. He really has. And seeing those guys step up. Well, what happens? Younger guys are inspired. Cavazos is a freshman. Mike Cavazos, he's a freshman receiver out of Texas. He's a 5-star recruit that we were able to snag from UT. He's one of the fastest players on our team, but he goes up to get that ball. He fights for every yard. That's the kind of player that we want, and that's what seeing guys like Fournette. I've seen Hochstein. And look at Newsel. Power through defenders. He's always been kind of a you tap him, he goes down kind of guy at times. But not this one. Not this time. He makes this thing a 2-score ball game by running people over. The old inspiring the young. I guess they're not old. I mean, they're 21 inspiring 19-year-olds. Not old inspiring the young, but that's what I'm going with because it sounds better. Old inspiring the young in terms of our team really help putting this game in motion, really help setting our team up on solid ground and solid footing. And so that's what we're looking for as a coach in our program. And even whenever you got a big lead, don't take it for granted. Hammer it home. Make sure it is completely out of reach. Hochstein finds Cross deep down the right side. That's, sure, it may seem like an asshole move to go up by 21 in the fourth quarter, but I think we've all seen games where teams come back from 21 points down. No, we've almost done it. We didn't, but we almost did. And I don't want to be in that situation. So we are still fighting all the way through to the bitter end. And that's the kind of environment and culture we've built here in Happy Valley. That's what we've been looking for. That's what we've been wanting to see as a team. Last season, it didn't happen so much. Near the end of the year, you could tell forged by fire. We became that team. What you're seeing in front of you right now, we really did, and that pretty much, has spawned off what we're seeing in terms of an undefeated season. 13-0, regular season and Big Ten championship. Our first Big Ten championship of the series. Our second trip here. And, I mean, it's one of those notches you need to get done before really you can say you've accomplished a lot. Even with the national championships, I mean, you still need conference championships too. Now, looking at the playoff setting, looking at where we are, we're looking at being in the Rose Bowl because Alabama is 13-0, and they put them at number 1, bunch of losers. By the way, this is recorded at the time before the real playoffs have happened. It was just announced like a few days ago. I am so happy Alabama is out. Crimson Tide, you suck. You're just a Tide. Who cares about a Tide? No one ever has been like, ooh, look, this Tide is so dangerous, you idiots. Either way, rant over about Alabama. Back to the game. We are going to be in the Rose Bowl. Now, looking at who we're going to be playing, it's going to be between Notre Dame or USC, which USC is another Big Ten opponent. They did just miss out on being in the Big Ten championship game. Like I said, it came down to a matter of wins within the division of the conference. And so USC was beat out, but hey, they finished well enough that they earned a spot in the playoffs, in the 12-team playoffs. So if they can win, then we'll be playing them in the Rose Bowl, which is exactly how that one shaped out. And quite frankly, I haven't played USC yet in this series, but, so this is what, 7 years in now? Yeah, because this is our third season with Penn State. So yeah, 7 years in. 7 years in. I don't know what the USC team looks like. We haven't played them yet in conference. So it's going to be an interesting one, but I know what Notre Dame looks like. I know what it took for us to beat them this season, and I know what it took for us to lose to them last season. So I'm fairly positive we would have dominated them, again. 52-47 domination kind of thing again, but I'd much rather play USC. So that's where we're starting at in the Rose Bowl here. In this run for the playoffs is taking on the Trojans. And just like that, I mean, having Mathis come all the way across the field, the blocking is what's outstanding. Seeing what our offensive line can do now and actually maintaining blocks, it's kind of an impressive feat to see. Hodgson had all the time in the world on that throw. Yeah, some pressure started coming late, but that happens just about every single throw. And then at Mathis, the great concentration and just the pinpoint accurate throw by our junior quarterback to nail that one home. It's a pretty big deal. So this game, it was an interesting one. It started out pretty wide open, right? So we started out 14-0 with the lead. Then we get a turnover. However, we don't turn that into points. And this game started to have a very weird feel. Now, keep in mind, this is in the Rose Bowl in Pasadena, California, USC, being from LA. Not all that far away, actually. I think it's only like an hour from Pasadena, maybe. Give or take some. Could be off. But it's practically a home game for the Trojans. And so, while we started quick, when things slowed down, it kind of started to go against us some. We started to lose who we were in our style of play. And you can see USC even came back to tie the game up. And, one thing about us, as much as you hate to see this happen as a coach or playing the game, you hate to see this kind of thing happen. But no one is too concerned about it, right? I mean, in reality, yeah, I'd be concerned if we gave up the lead like we did. But this is a team that's been through some chitski together. And they're going to continue to fight together. That's why here in the fourth quarter, trailing by 7, Hochstein is able to find his receiver, Sterling, who just pure speed takes it into the end zone. Tie ball game once again. This is what we do. We're not a team that's going to back down anymore. Last season, once again, Vegas being on the road in Wisconsin, gave up the lead, and that was all she wrote. This season, we're not that team. You can take the lead from us, but we're going to be sitting there and battle it back. We're going to be there to take it right back from you. If you allow us to stick in a game, you're going to have problems. If you relax once you get the lead, you're going to have an issue. And that's what USC seemed like they did. Even once we tied it up with them, coming into the final minute, it's one of those, you run into one of those weird situations of what do you do? If they were to just run the ball constantly, we're talking, we got timeouts and good field position. So they try to throw it, well, we get the sack. So what does our defenders continue to do? Boom! Put them down in the end zone. Ruffin comes up and gets the safety. He gets the safety. We don't want to go to no danged overtime. Our defense ain't sitting there trying to play for overtime. They're playing to win the game. And as they try to run that outside, Ruffin hammers this one home on them. And that's how we actually seal up the Rose Bowl this year, by a safety. Because they relaxed a little too much. They thought, overtime's in our future. We've said there's no need for overtime. We'll handle it in regulation. Thank you very much. And Ruffin, our linebacker, our leader, our defensive veteran leader, puts them to the turf. He's the one who takes over, takes control, and finishes this game. He does that on his own. He stepped up when we needed him, and that's something about teams like this, with the culture that we have and the leadership that we have on this team, to see a senior like Ruffin take control, to see him step up and be that guy. And even going into the next game in the Orange Bowl, we had to go to Miami this time, taking on the Tennessee Volunteers. What do? Find ourselves down by 3 in the fourth quarter. Newsel takes over on the jet sweep, hammers that one home. The blocking on the outside, they couldn't handle it. We basically shielded off that whole right side. Newsel went in untouched. No one was even close to him. No one thought about stopping him. They were just so far away from him. Cross did a great job blocking. Everybody did. And that's what gave us the lead. Now, what happens when you get a lead and your defense gives you a stop? You want to extend on that lead. So Hochstein right up the middle, boom. He puts it on his shoulders. He has done that a lot with this team. He has said, this is my team, this is my offense. I am going to lead this offense the way I see fit. The field opened up in front of him, and my goodness, he took off and was able to run like we've never seen him run before. And that's just due to the hard work and effort that he put into it coming into this season. And so we would take a big 35-17 win in the Orange Bowl, and Hochstein, knowing he wants a number 3 in a row, he wants a three-peat. Something that hasn't been done by a team since, 1930s, if I'm not mistaken. The three-peat happening, that's what we're going to try to do. We're going for the three-peat, and we have the opportunity for it as we take out Tennessee. And it ended up being a pretty good game. 35-17. Things happened at the end that allowed us to really, put the nail in the coffin on them. But overall, it was actually a really good, solid game between both of these teams. Glad we could do it, but just kind of goes further to show how our team is designed. We were tested so much during the year. And from last season to this season, the test kept coming and coming and coming, and we kept fighting and fighting and fighting. And finally, we see our culmination spot, things coming to a head, looking to try and make history happen here with a three-peat for the first time in about 80 years. Now, we've played the Crimson Tide before, right? We played them in the Rose Bowl in our first time in the playoffs a couple seasons ago. So we know they're not a pushover team. I mean, it's just the history of Alabama. You know they're not going to be a pushover team. But they're number one in the country. They're undefeated just like us. This is something we've never been. We've never been in a national championship game completely undefeated. So it is a little bit different, but it's still the way we're built this season. We're just different this season. And you can see that immediately. Alabama went down, took the score. So what do? We come right back at them. And not only are we going to score, we're going to run the ball and seal off that whole side. We're going to match their physicality with us. We're not a team to back down. That's the way we've been all season. Once again, when you lose at times, it makes you a harder, better team. It just does. And we've really used those lessons in the past to help us out. And so that's why even whenever we're down in big games, whether it's the second quarter of the national championship, fourth quarter in the semifinal, no matter what game it is, we can always find that big play and hit that big play to even our young freshman receivers to take the lead in a national championship game. That's the kind of team we built, and that's our culture that we have at Happy Valley. Coach Bubba Champion has spent years designing this. We were a little ahead of the game in season number 1, making it to the playoffs. And yeah, there was that glitch that put us in, gave us a bye week and all that fun jazz. But the team really fought through. They made their mistakes. We had comeback wins even during that playoff run. So just like this one, there's going to be opportunities to make the plays, to be that kind of team. But we've really learned from that. And we've grown to be where we are now. This is a culture of never backing down. This is a culture of all gas, no brakes. Which everybody that says that ends up losing and having all these comebacks happen on them because they put the damn brakes on. So let me refrain from saying that while we are right now. All gas, no brakes. But, I mean, really, we're a team that wants to get at it fast. Not afraid to throw some heavy punches. And here we are in the fourth quarter, ahead by 10. And what do we got to do? Put the game away. Start making the separation too much as we hit the little slant pattern in the rain of Florida at Raymond James Stadium. I know it has South Florida there. I guess they couldn't have the Tampa Bay Buccaneer stuff showing. But that's going to give us a 17-point lead here with 13 minutes to go. And this is a game that, yeah, Alabama, the one thing about them, you can never expect them to go away. They're just like us. They are going to fight constantly. So they score a touchdown, get back within 10. So how do you respond to that? Well, a champion is going to respond with points. A team that doesn't back down is going to fight with them. Is going to sit there and throw a little swing pass. It doesn't sound as manly when I say it like that, but is going to throw a pass into the end zone. And it's going to continue to put up points. You know, like I said, Alabama's not a team to go away. We know this. Saban instilled that culture there with the Crimson Tide. So for every single college football game, no matter what they become without Saban, you will always see Alabama be one of the top-ranked teams and one of the better, higher-rated teams. I just have a feeling that's going to be the case. But in this one, here's what you see having us do is at the end of the game, Alabama has come back. And before, we may not be that team that would have just run that ball for that first down because that sealed the game for us. That used Alabama's last time out, and we were able to kneel it and get our three-peat. But that's the kind of team we are, man. These guys have fought. A lot of our team are a bunch of veterans and seniors. And the downside is they're going to be leaving. I know that. But we've got a good, young, talented core of players to come up. It's just going to take a little bit, I think, to get them. As much as they can buy into the culture, they don't have the experience. And we do. And these guys have been with us for a couple seasons, going back to back to back national championships. The three-peat finally happens again. But does our story stop there? Nay, nay, nay. where do we go from there? If once you get a three-peat, don't you want a four-peat? Let's make history. Let's go for that historical moment. All right? Now, in reality, we've looked at job offers that people have given to us. At one point, we did have an Alabama job offer. I think it was after last season they offered us a job. We've had Auburn offer us a job. Never had Ole Miss or anybody else, but those are the two biggest programs. So it's not like we haven't thought about leaving. It's the opportunities that have come. We just wanted to build something here at Penn State. And now in our fourth season, looking at making a four-peat. Here we are in the middle of this fourth season. Coming up early in the first few games, undefeated, playing against a team out of the SEC, Ole Miss, and really putting it to them. Our offense was one of the highest scoring offenses in the country this season. And I like that because it makes life a little bit easier on our defenders and really makes my life easier because I'm fairly confident I could win a shootout with any team they put in front of us. The problem comes in, we don't get tested that much as being this powerful of an offense, which does mean when things start going wrong, how are we going to respond, right? So we've changed over a lot of players from the previous years, right? Our defense has got a lot of different guys. We've got some leadership, don't get me wrong. Newsell's a senior. Hochstein's a senior. Cavazos is a junior receiver. Cross is a senior receiver, I believe. But we've got some senior leadership. But these younger guys have come in that we've recruited. And yeah, they're five-star recruits. But we've been putting it two teams. I mean, even rivalry games like that against Ohio State. 52-35. So not only do we kick Ole Miss's butt, we kick Ohio State's butt. We completely start to obliterate teams. And it just means we don't get tested like we should be. Is one way to look at it. Now, another way to look at it is, well, each game is a test, and we are passing it with flying colors. I understand that sentiment. But it does make me nervous coming into the remainder of this season that we have here at season number 4, looking to go undefeated 2 years in a row. Even our old damn thorn in the side, Wisconsin, we have a 20-7 lead, and in the third quarter, boom, extend it 27-7. When you don't get tested much during the year, it does make me nervous, right? Coach Champion does everything he can do to get you prepared, but if you're not tested and you got a lot of youngsters on your team, they have a tendency to relax, and that can become a problem. It's one of those, you hope it doesn't, but you just know that it can be. And if it is, you hope it happens at the right time and not the wrong time. I don't know, whatever the right time versus wrong time would be. But I guess you'd say wrong time to have it happen would be a conference championship or a playoff game. Right time would be during a regular season game that doesn't affect whether or not you play in the conference title game. I mean, I guess that's an easy enough definition. But we're a powerful group of guys right now. Coach has built up a special kind of program here. And it's one that, even with that we've kind of started to see changes in the offense. We've started running a little bit more, I guess, pre-snap motion. Started getting the more end-arounds going. We've adjusted our Wildcat setup to allow for a few more Wildcat formations and a few more option plays, especially with Hochstein being able to run and being a little bit more maneuverable now than what he was before. And I think we've seen our offense explode. Our defense has done a good job. I mean, holding a rival to 23 points is a good job by the defense. Holding a good Ohio State team to 35 points is a good job. Holding a Wisconsin team to 20 points is a good job. But they didn't have a whole lot to lose. If we are so far ahead at times that sometimes backups being in allowed those scores to happen. But at the same time, we haven't found ourselves in a position that, you let one guy go, man, that's a loss. Game over. We still haven't found ourselves in that position during this fourth season. And we really wouldn't. Coming up, looking at this thing here, this is the final game of the regular season against Michigan State. Rivalry game. Hochstein makes it look easy. I mean, this was his regular season finale to a Heisman Trophy campaign. He pulls out the Heisman. He sets the record for the most passing yards. Basically rewrites a lot of the history books for Penn State and for the NCAA. But, look, going up 28-3 in the second quarter. The game ends 48-24 because we put our backups in so early. So not being tested does have me concerned. We've got all momentum going our way, completely undefeated in the regular season for the second season in a row. The only difference, we had a lot of hurdles to go over last season. This season, not so much. The road's pretty much been paved for us. Sure, it's paved by us last year, but still, a paved road is a paved road versus that rocky stuff when you're walking barefoot. You know what I mean? So we do finish the regular season undefeated. Now, here comes the Big Ten championship game. We're going to take on the Washington Huskies. Now, during the middle portion of this game, there was shocking news announced, ladies and gentlemen. Coach Bubba Champion, at the end of this season, would be leaving the program. He would be leaving the program to start somewhere new. We'll discuss where he's going in the next episode, but the shocking announcement was made while this game was playing. Coach did not intend for that to happen. It just occurs that way. Someone lets out a little leak. Next thing you know, it's all over the place, and you could kind of feel a shift in the crowd during this game as that started to happen. Players finding out afterwards, he didn't want it to affect anything that happened going forward. He was hoping it would remain quiet, but it didn't. And sometimes that happens. And, thankfully our players weren't able to see it. They didn't hear the news. They're not able to have access to their cell phones. And you got guys like Brian Jerry, seniors coming up making big-time plays. Once again, guys who have been with us from the very beginning. And that's something that I think Coach really enjoyed about coaching this team. And that may have been an idea leading to his departure. As we said, we knew he'd gotten offers before and just never accepted. But now it's one of those, he's got the three-peat, an undefeated season for the second year in a row. What else can he do besides go four-peat, then five-peat, then six-peat? And he's a guy who likes to build stuff. He wants to rebuild a team. He wants to rebuild a culture. He's gotten Penn State taken care of. He took care of North Texas, and they're in the playoffs just about every year at this point. They're still one of the top recruiting teams. So it's one of those, take it for what it is. But I think he just really decided it was time to move on. That can happen. Now, like I said, thankfully our players didn't hear about it, so they weren't too affected. And so that's why in this first half, you see our team able to put on basically a scoring showcase. We're talking early here in the second quarter, going up 28-6. 9 minutes to go in the second quarter. You go up 28-6 on a team. Man, it's practically locked in. Now, granted, it's never over till, the fat lady sings, the big women are up singing. But it was practically done for him. Now, in the third quarter, what do you do when you think a team's going to want to try to come back and they score a touchdown on you? You score one back of your own, show them, look, we've been nice to you by not running it up. Don't piss us off. Hochstein hammered that one home aggressively. He's the kind of senior leader that we've been hoping he would become, and he has not disappointed. And I'm proud of the way that he has stepped up in this game. Running that one in. So here, this is actually only our second Big Ten championship. No, it's our third Big Ten championship game, yeah. Lost to Oregon the first one, beat Maryland, and now we're handling the business with Washington. So it's only going to be our second Big Ten championship game in this series. And it's kind of shocking when you think about it. We've won 3 straight national championships. We're going for our 4th one. And yet, this is only going to be our second Big Ten championship. Washington really didn't have much of a shot. I mean, they thought they did at the beginning, but no. We threw an interception, a pick 6 to get the thing started. We proceeded to block their extra point. That's how they got 6 points. And that was pretty much it. That's all she wrote for them. Their only score came off our mistake. We weren't going to do that again. And we didn't. We turned up the heat, and man, did we hammer that game home on them. Take our second consecutive Big Ten championship. Now, the players would have to hear about Coach Champion's departure after this game. The coach would talk to them before anybody in the media could ask him questions, so at least he did tell them that. And really, I think some players understood. Other players obviously hurt. You just hope it doesn't become a distraction. Because going into the next game was going to be the playoffs. We were back at the Rose Bowl in the playoffs. We've been here before. We've beaten some tough teams. We've beaten Alabama in this very stadium. And now here comes Kentucky. Now, Kentucky has had an up and down season. But one thing is they have been incredibly tested. We, as I mentioned before, have not. So it does make you nervous coming into this game. What kind of team we're going to see, especially with our kids being distracted. Like I say, you really hope it doesn't impact them coming into it, but how could it not? Their coach just announced he was leaving, right? So coming into this one, we knew we wanted to get stuff established, kind of get everybody calmed down from the big news of the coach departure, from winning the conference championship game. So what do? You run it. Now, Newsel, being a senior, says, I want my 4th in a row. He says, I want it, coach. And he hammers that one home for a big run. We haven't seen him break a run like that in quite some time. We haven't had a running back break a run like that in quite some time, to be honest with you. And, he takes that one all the way in to give us an early lead. So we started thinking, okay, maybe these kids aren't as distracted as we thought they might be coming into it. But every player's different. And in a game, you need teams to be consistent. You need complementary football to happen. So it seemed like every time we would get a score, we couldn't. Our defense could only step up and do so much. Kentucky is a really good team, and they would hammer that one in. They would just tie it right back. And so back and forth we go. This is going to be one of them kind of fights. It's going to be a slugfest, essentially. But just haymaker after haymaker. Right hook after right hook. Uppercut after uppercut. Both sides throwing, both sides landing. And even here later in the first quarter, Kentucky once again in a goal-to-go situation. Not forced to turnover or anything. We just punted it away, and then we just could not stop them. And you see, even with a zone where you're supposed to have someone in the middle, it just opened up to them. Like our players disappeared. The Red Sea opened, and they went running through. But, that doesn't mean that the game's over. You have to keep fighting. We've established a culture of grit, of toughness, and we fire right back at them. Hit cross on the little deep pattern. Great throw by Hochstein to hammer it into that tight zone. But to get the ball there before the safety could get over to him, and to get this game tied right back up again. That's impressive to see happen. Hochstein, beautiful throw. Gotta love to watch it happen as he dropped that one in the bucket. Now, later on in the fourth quarter, the game is tied 28-28. We have an opportunity, so we have to be able to come up big, right? And firing it over the middle, we don't even see the receiver. And I mentioned sometimes when teams are tested, you can kind of figure out who's going to make that play when the time comes. When you're not tested, man, you start holding on for dear life, hoping that you're not the guy that makes the wrong play. That you become the one to make the right play to win the game. Instead, you make the wrong play and throw an interception. And Kentucky takes over real close in our zone, or in the red zone. And at that point, they've been a team that's been hard to stop all day. So they hand it off right there, pushing forward, and it becomes one of those, well, how the hell are we going to stop them now kind of situation here for Kentucky. And they go heavy set formation on a 3rd and 1. I mean, you can only do so much. Sometimes your guys just get beat on a play. And yeah, we did on that one. We really did. We'd find ourselves eventually down 42-34 because we missed an extra point. So we have to come back and get a touchdown and a 2-point conversion. Newsel, I mean, God help the kid. He was beat up in this one, but he powered through. He truly powered through in this game for 3 touchdowns. He played like just an absolute star, and you know you can't thank a kid like that enough. Even though we weren't able to complete the 2-point conversion and our season ended prematurely, I'm proud of the way these kids performed. It sucks they have to taste defeat like this, and it sucks that this is a taste in the mouth that we're leaving as we go. But every story must continue. So 4 years, 3 national championships, and 2 Big Ten championships in. Pretty successful time. Now we are going to begin our journey somewhere else. Everybody leaves, everybody grows, everybody needs to do new things. So are we. Now that will all be in the next episode beginning. We'll get back to our old kind of style of format in that episode. So don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you have not hit it already. And definitely give us a thumbs up if you like this video. You're excited about the playoffs. You're excited Alabama's out of it. For whatever reason, give us a thumbs up. It does help out the channel. And I truly appreciate everything that y'all do for us here at Champ & Sons Gaming. But I will see y'all in the next episode where we start our newest little journey there. And yeah, so that'll be in the next one. So as always, everybody stay safe. And well, y'all know how it goes from here, right? Later, y'all.